Thanks. We'll have more on the markets. Baby Morris coming up at the top of the hour, just ahead of hour two of Balance of Power. Pretty nice trade here coming off of that Friday session that had a lot of people wondering if it was going to be a taco or what, and it kind of turned out to be, Mario. The president pulled back big time on China over the weekend.
Yes, absolutely. I was looking at the GIP function of the World Economic Equity Indexes last week, and it was
big time
right after that. But yeah, what we saw was the president kind of moderating his language over the weekend. I think markets have gotten used to some of this pivoting, right? We had some tough talk from the president after Beijing instituted some of the export controls, and now we're probably on track for a Trump-G meeting in the next few weeks.
It looks like that. Everybody's buying the dip when it comes to the president here. The tweet, or the post on Truth Social, I should mention, just yesterday. Don't worry about China. It will all be fine, he says. Exclamation point. Highly respected President Xi just had a bad moment. Doesn't want a depression for his country, and neither do I. The USA wants to help China, not hurt it. Triple exclamation point. And I'm guessing he wrote it because he signed it President DJT. We'll park that there for now because, as we mentioned, markets are in a good mood here, and we're still waiting for more from China, which had a visceral reaction to the president's post on Friday. Today, it is all about Gaza and Israel, and at the moment, Egypt, where the president and world leaders have come together for a signing ceremony. Mario, we're going to be hearing from the president. In fact, it's quite a view. I don't know if we can show that to our viewers on YouTube. World leaders gathering as we speak. There you have it for the podium that is set up for the president, and flags corresponding to the nations that are in the hall there. Peace in the Middle East reads the backdrop. Mario, it's an historic day.
It's a very historic day. You see that the White House, along with some of its Middle East allies, have choreographed this quite well. This is a way for President Trump, particularly after last week's events, to spike the proverbial football, if you will, here on a very serious issue. But you see the president now is going to set to have another speech. He spoke earlier to Israel's parliament as well. We saw family photos also. So you see the White House really taking in the pomp and circumstance here.
Yeah, they rolled this together pretty quickly, too, considering the amount of time that they had. Essentially a week to put this together from the period of time that this deal was accepted. And we start with our panel, their take on this, as we wait to hear from the president. Bloomberg Politics contributors Jeannie Shanzano and Rick Davis are with us. Jeannie is our Democratic analyst and democracy visiting fellow at Harvard Kennedy School's Ash Center. Rick is our Republican strategist and partner at Stone Court Capital. Rick, your thoughts on this day with regard to this administration and the role that it will play in the history of the Trump administration. This is being seen as probably the most successful day that he has had in his second term. He may not have received the Nobel Peace Prize, but it's hard to discount what's happening here today, no?
Yeah, this is a pretty good second choice if you feel like the Peace Prize is number one. But he did receive the Israeli Presidential Medal of Freedom Award, which is their highest gift to anybody for doing extraordinary work. And look, they deserve this. They worked hard to pull this peace deal together to get these hostages back, to stop the fighting, and to allow the aid to get going. And frankly, very few people thought he would accomplish this a month ago. They thought that this was just another president who took on the very difficult task of trying to secure peace in the Middle East, and he would likely fail, as they all have. So at least for now, this is an amazing accomplishment. And as the Speaker of the Knesset said this morning, he will be remembered for 1,000 years in Israeli history. So all the great accolades are pouring out now, and obviously lots of hard work to be done on the back end of this agreement. But you can see by today, he's assembled not just Middle Eastern leaders, but global leaders in an effort to ensure that everybody stays on plan and that there's plenty of leverage, both financially and also politically, to get the rest of this peace agreement implemented.
And Jeannie, Rick used two words that I want to just key in on, just the politics of it all, but also some of the accolades, right? Over the weekend, we saw Democrats kind of take President Obama to task for not mentioning President Trump in a speech as he congratulated on this deal being done. But then by the same token, we saw other Democrats, I'm thinking Mark Kelly from Arizona and others, giving the president credit. How should Democrats be playing this moment right now?
Yeah, Mario, and I would add to that, Hillary Clinton, even though she is not in elected office today, she congratulated the president as well. I think that everybody has to be very clear and honest. The president deserves a good deal of respect and congratulations for getting us this far. And I was just watching one of the early captors, Aviva Siegel, who she and her husband were taken on October 7th. She got out about 50, 60 days later. Then he came out, and they had worked very hard, tirelessly, to get out the rest of the hostages. And I was struck that she was saying that, how profoundly grateful they are to the president and also to Steve Witkoff, who she said throughout this has been incredibly responsive to her and her family's calls to get the hostages out. So absolutely congratulate them. And then, of course, don't lose sight of the fact that we are still a long way from the war being over. This is a ceasefire, but as we look today, we see Hamas still engaged in the Gaza Strip, still taking action against Palestinians who they feel have sided with the IDF. We still see the IDF bombing those tunnels, which are about 50% done. So there is a long way to go. The sort of gold standard of this would be Camp David, 1978, or with Bill Clinton in 93. It is striking that we will not see that kind of handshake repeated today because these two sides cannot get together in that way. So still a long way to go to secure peace and set up a political apparatus, but absolutely everyone should congratulate the president and be very grateful that these 20 people have been brought home alive, and of course the Palestinian prisoners that are being released. And the jubilation on the ground tells us the whole story on both sides.
Well, to Jeannie's point, the nations who were at the table we just showed you with President Trump signing documents were the U.S., Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar. We're going to be hearing from the president momentarily. President El-Sisi is speaking right now of Egypt. If you're watching along on YouTube, we'll welcome our global television audience probably right around the time the president speaks. We can see him listening to a headset to the translation. Rick, to Jeannie's point, Hamas has police now on the streets of Gaza, and the IDF is still planning to dismantle what's left of the network of tunnels beneath Gaza, which could be long and very dangerous work. About 50% of that complex is still in place now. How worried are you about this holding together with some of these stray ends still existing today?
Yeah, look, I think this is going to be a long-term transition. There's no question that in all the agreements and all the rhetoric that has been delivered in the last 72 hours about this agreement, that Hamas will not be part of the government going forward. There's no question that anybody who goes in there is going to prioritize the demilitarization of the region. Its future is not going to be run by a terrorist organization. And obviously, Hamas is going to have something to say for that. They can either become constructive and be a part of the future of the Palestinian people, or they will not be. And they now lack the leverage of having hostages to terrorize, and they're going to have to start figuring out where they want to wind up on this. And we're in the messy middle right now. We've gotten so much done in just a short period of time that it seems like everything should happen this fast. I think the next phase will take some time. But if you're going to rebuild Gaza, you're not going to build it on top of a network of tunnels that people will use for mischief. So all this stuff's got to be changed over the course of the next few years. And the fact that they've already got a November meeting that President El-Sisi is going to be hosting in Egypt on reconstruction is a good indication that they're going to keep their nose to the grindstone on delivering for the Palestinian people.
We're going to have a lot more with Rick Davis.